Come Saturday night, I'm coming in here to beat his. He gonna come, he gonna be tough, strong, but I'm coming to whoop his. I stand by that. I'm him up.
Yeah. You gotta think, right? It's okay.
Man, I can't wait to beat this clown, bro. This dude is a clown.
Focus on me.
You better have that chin ready, baby. You better have it ready.
Real clown.
I already figured your ass out.
You not fighting.
What else you got, man?
Yo, senior, you're
I only
not in
seen
the
10
ring.
seconds of your fight.
I seen you fight before.
I only
You
seen
can't
10
fight.
seconds of your fight. You're boring as hell.
Come on, bro. Stop it, bro.
Boring, man. You almost got knocked out. Even your daughter said you got knocked
Got
out.
knocked out. Tio got hurt his last fight too.
Ooh.
Didn't he get hurt his last fight?
Man, if it wasn't for those ropes.
Did Tio get hurt his last fight?
My son don't be throwing punches,
Did Tio
man.
get hurt his last fight?
My
I
son don't
watched
be
him.
throwing punches,
I paid
man.
attention.
Tension exploded when Terence Crawford suddenly stepped into the Stevenson versus Lopez media event. What began as a routine press appearance quickly turned intense the moment Shakur Stevenson and Teofimo Lopez dropped the polite act and started attacking each other's egos head-on.
He did some great things against them guys. I seen a lot of weaknesses in his game too, and something that he said earlier. He said, Tio never lost to Southpaw. Well, I never lost to Orthodox. So it ain't no different, but
the difference is you never fought no elite fighter.
Okay, I don't think y'all did either.
Oh, so you gotta show it, baby.
I don't think y'all did
you.
either. I ain't see.
Not on my son.
I ain't see Lomachenko throw no punches.
You
for
never
6
been on a big
rounds.
stage like this.
I didn't see Lomachenko throw punches for 6 rounds.
You never been on a big stage like
I
this.
didn't see Lomachenko throw punches.
Because we
for 6
frozen.
rounds. Okay, you gonna see.
We gonna freeze you too.
You better not throw the.
Things heated up quickly after Teofimo Lopez Sr. brought up breaking rules, comparing it to what happened with Lomachenko and Taylor. Shakur Stevenson fired back without hesitation, downplaying those victories and making it clear that Teofimo has never faced a top-level opponent on his level.
Well, I see their weakness. That's what I do. You know, we broke the code with with Loma that nobody had ever done. You know, we didn't let him get comfortable in there. You saw that. You know, within like 8 rounds, he didn't know what to do. I did the same thing with Josh Taylor, and we're gonna do the same thing with Shakur.
Real hard.
Man, what do you say to that, bro? Like, do you hear him, bro? I just can't wait to beat him and shut him up, bro. Tio not on this level. Tio is a high-level fighter, but he's not on my level. I'm an elite level fighter, and come January 31st.
After that, the situation quickly turned into a whirlwind of heated exchanges. Shakur went after Teofimo's mindset, pointing out his mental flaws, while Teofimo fired back, labeling Shakur as dull and overrated. The back and forth became so intense, it felt more like the 13th round of a fight than a press conference.
Be 100 times better come fight night against Teofimo Lopez than I was against Cepeda. 1,000 times better. Faster, sharper, stronger, mentally more on point, and I can't wait.
You said a couple of times now you see some holes in Teofimo's game. I know you don't want to give away your game plan at the kickoff press conference, but where are the weaknesses? Where are some of the weaknesses in his game?
A lot of the weaknesses is in his mental. I think it's more mental than anything. And I'm going to expose.
The situation reached its breaking point as the insults became personal. Voices rose, security remained on high alert, and the atmosphere felt like it could erupt into a fight at any second. Even promoters such as Eddie Hearn attempted to steer the conversation toward legacy and greatness, but the fighters had completely taken control of the room.
Thanks for the reminder, Chris. This place is special. I think when this fight was talked about, I think both Shakur and Teofimo Lopez need a huge amount of credit for making this fight. Both of the guys are the respective kings of their division. Teofimo Lopez, the #1 guy at 140. Shakur, the #1 guy at 135. And when I heard about this fight, I didn't expect it to happen. And, you know, the work that His Excellency's done, Ring Magazine, to make this fight quite sensational. But the icing on the cake is to see the fight at Madison Square Garden. This is, for me, the absolute mecca of...
Even when Toki Alshik joined the call, his unimpressed reaction somehow only added fuel to the already fiery situation.
This fight is the first step of crazy map of boxing next year and the beginning of 27. This is not easy fight. Thank you.
By the time it wrapped up, both fighters were exchanging talk of domination, humiliation, and silencing the other, making the press event feel like a sneak peek into just how personal this matchup has gotten. This wasn't just marketing. It was genuine tension spilling into the open, and suddenly January 31st feels impossible to ignore.
So I just, I don't know. I don't think he can get it done against Shakur when it comes to like, cause it's going to be just a skill match. I don't think he's going to try to rough Shakur up. And
once the press conference erupted with emotion and pride on full display, the atmosphere shifted again when Teofimo's father took the microphone. Instantly, the energy moved away from disorder and into something far more deliberate and controlled. As he spoke, it became clear this wasn't simple trash talk. It sounded like a parent outlining a clear mental approach. He showed no concern for Shakur Stevenson's defensive looks or stylistic imitation, making it clear they've already studied it all. The message was simple. This isn't about guessing, it's about preparation. What stood out most was how strongly he focused on mindset and personal development.
And Crawford stated, "Oh, you only got to me."
Yeah, but he really want to fight Crawford, and we're gonna call him out after we beat up his boy. You know,
that's to the game plan. Even though you guys have, even if he requires you,
he ain't gonna fight us, man. He ain't gonna fight us, man. We've been chasing this guy for the longest. My son is even willing to go up to 160 to fight him. You know, listen, speed kills. You know what I'm saying? Speed kills, and that's why we're gonna beat Shakur. He ain't faster than us, and we're gonna catch him.
He presents Teofimo Lopez as someone who continues to progress because he deliberately steps into risk instead of settling for comfort. That perspective carries weight, whether people agree with it or not. When he shifts the focus to legacy rather than paychecks, references underdog wins against Lomachenko and Josh Taylor, and talks about adapting his approach from one fight to the next, the confidence is impossible to miss. It may sound bold and even theatrical, but it aligns with the path Teofimo's career has taken so far. Another point that stood out was how easily he dismissed concerns like ring dimensions or promotional tricks, sending a clear message. The goal isn't chasing highlight reel finishes, it's winning with strategy.
Okay, we do this for the legacy. So I tell my son, that when I told him, let's go after Colmig, let's go after Lomachenko, let's go after Josh Taylor. And all of those three fights, he was the underdog. You know what I'm saying? And big time. I mean, with Josh Taylor, he was like 23 experts said that he was going to lose. So, and he gave an amazing performance, and it wasn't the same as the performance he gave with Barbosa's, like his styles have changed all the time. And that's the scariest part about him, and he comes to entertain.
And sure, comparisons to fighters like Crawford and Canelo might feel like a stretch, but that exaggeration is part of the confidence they are projecting. The bigger takeaway is this. Team Lopez isn't entering this fight hoping for a lucky moment. They truly believe that speed, flexibility, and constant pressure are enough to disrupt Shakur's composed style. Whether that confidence holds up over 12 rounds is a different question. But mentally, this wasn't empty talk. It was firm belief. And when both camps are convinced they are sharper, quicker, and better prepared than the other, that's when a matchup stops feeling predictable and starts becoming compelling.
Did Shakur by any chance implement a bigger ring or
We don't care about that, no? Man. I mean, we're just gonna box this dude, man. We're not going in there for the knockout. We never do. The only fight that my son looked like sloppy was with Cambosis because he was dying in there. And, he said that he felt better when he was attacking more, But we never do that.
After Teofimo's father finished outlining that mental chess approach, the atmosphere shifted once more when Andre Ward and Roy Jones Jr. joined the discussion. Their input carried a different weight, coming from fighters who've actually lived through battles like this. Hearing them speak, it felt like a seasoned, no-nonsense boxing perspective. They echoed what many people sensed during the press conference, that the exchanges weren't promotional lines, but genuine challenges. What really stood out in their analysis was a key contrast between the two fighters. Shakur Stevenson, in their view, operates instinctively in the moment. He doesn't rely on a preset plan or emotional rhythm. Instead, he observes, adjusts, and constructs his work round by round, almost like creating art as it unfolds. Teofimo Lopez, by comparison, brings danger, explosiveness, and flashes of brilliance. But when disorder enters the fight, he still benefits from having a clear structure to help him regain his timing.
Who has a blank canvas. He's got the IQ, he got the experience, and the athleticism, and the skill set where he can paint any type of picture he wants to on a blank canvas. When I look at Teofimo Lopez, he's almost that. He has a blank canvas, but he needs an outline on what to draw and what to paint inside the line. Now, every now and again, he'll go away from the outline that he has and he'll do something dope and you'll be like, oh, that was cool. That wasn't on the outline right there. But I don't think that he can create on the fly like a Shakur.
Ward and Roy weren't putting Teofimo down at all. In fact, they were acknowledging something calculated. The disrespect seen at the press conference wasn't accidental or emotional. It was intentional provocation. The objective wasn't to win a verbal exchange, but to pull Shakur out of precision mode and force him into fighting off emotion. That's advanced psychological warfare, where their point really lands is this: trying to lure a composed, disciplined fighter into chaos can backfire badly when he understands the tactic being used. If Shakur takes the bait, Teofimo benefits. But if Shakur remains steady and patient, that strategy quickly loses its power. There was also an interesting admission from both legends. They joked that if someone spoke to them that way during their careers, things might have turned physical immediately. At the same time, they were clear about one thing: Shakur isn't built like that. He doesn't need to win the exchange in the moment. His focus is on winning when it actually counts. That's the real divide here. This matchup isn't about volume, bravado, or intimidation. It's about who stays mentally grounded once the plan falls apart and the fight starts changing in real time.
I think that Teo just painted outline by being as disrespectful as he can at the press conference because he wants to try to piss this kid off so the kid come fight with him. You understand me? Because with me, he have exactly what he wanted. Because as soon as I go in there, I'm coming straight to his head. You understand where I come from? So, but I think that's what he's trying to get. Yeah, you feel me? But I think that's what he's trying to get Shakur to do. Because why would you say that to a person? What does that have to do with boxing? You feel me? He knows that Shakur has great feet, and he's not gonna be able to catch Shakur if he lets Shakur take his time to do what he does. So he got to try to make Shakur come in and try to kill him, which is what he just did at the.
After Andre Ward and Roy Jones Jr. broke down the contrast between fighting on instinct versus relying on structure, the discussion naturally moved into something even more revealing: direct experience. That's where Keith one-time Thurman's perspective carries real weight. At this point, it's no longer theory. It's knowledge owned inside the ring. Listening to him, it becomes clear why Shakur Stevenson presents such a difficult problem for opponents, that he isn't describing Shakur as some supernatural figure. What is explaining is awareness. Shakur picks up on the smallest physical signals, subtle shifts, shoulder movements, balance changes, and processes them instantly. Before an opponent fully decides to throw, Shakur already understands what's coming. That isn't about raw speed. It's about rapid interpretation. What makes it even more unsettling is how casually Thurman describes it, as if being several steps ahead is just normal behavior. That perspective explains why Shakur often looks relaxed while others appear tense. He isn't responding after the moment happens. He's already ahead of it before it unfolds.
Watching him, I always notice, I'm like, dang, when he, if you really pay attention to when he spar, when he fight, he already know what you're going to throw before you throw it. Not because he's some type of, boxing guru or anything like that, but because he reading your body language. If you dip to this side, I'm already blocking for a possible hook or uppercut. I don't need to worry about a jab or right hand, because the probability of you throwing that is not even, But so just watching him and sparring him, being in the ring with him, it's like, dang, just him understanding what a person could throw based on their body positioning. It always put him like 2-3 steps ahead of his opponent.
Hearing that perspective from someone who has actually shared the ring with him only reinforces what Ward and Roy were pointing out earlier. Shakur doesn't rely on disorder to succeed. He operates best when everything is clear. He doesn't force the moment. He allows the situation to reveal itself, then makes precise adjustments. Colon takes it a step further by explaining why Teofimo Lopez, despite how dangerous he is, has to remain locked in for every second of all 12 rounds, and is careful to give Teofimo proper respect. He openly says this matchup is more competitive than Shakur's previous fight because Teofimo brings athleticism, explosiveness, and constant threat. That assessment is fair. Where the separation starts to appear, though, is in the details. Teofimo has habits, moments where his lead hand drops, or body shots come without enough coverage. On their own, those flaws seem small. But against a fighter who thrives on precision, small mistakes don't stay small. Colon points to past fights where Teofimo didn't make adjustments quickly enough. And that's exactly where Shakur excels. A single error turns into repetition. Repetition turns into scoring. And before you realize it, rounds have slipped away quietly.
The most notable thing that come to mind is I remember when he fought Sandor Martin. Like every time he threw a right hand to the body, he never had his lead hand up. Sandor Martin was just check hooking him to death. I'm just like when he's just gonna make the adjustment, when he gonna realize that he just keep getting hit with the right hook every time he try to throw the right hand. So those are the small adjustments that he had to make because, sharp fighter, they gonna capitalize. So he gotta be on it.
Hearing that perspective from someone who has actually shared the ring with him only reinforces what Ward and Roy were pointing out earlier. Shakur doesn't rely on disorder to succeed. He operates best when everything is clear. He doesn't force the moment. He allows the situation to reveal itself, then makes precise adjustments. Colon takes it a step further by explaining why Teofimo Lopez, despite how dangerous he is, has to remain locked in for every second of all 12 rounds, and is careful to give Teofimo proper respect. He openly says this matchup is more competitive than Shakur's previous fight because Teofimo brings athleticism, explosiveness, and constant threat. That assessment is fair. Where the separation starts to appear, though, is in the details. Teofimo has habits, moments where his lead hand drops, or body shots come without enough coverage. On their own, those flaws seem small. But against a fighter who thrives on precision, small mistakes don't stay small. Colon points to past fights where Teofimo didn't make adjustments quickly enough. And that's exactly where Shakur excels. A single error turns into repetition. Repetition turns into scoring. And before you realize it, rounds have slipped away quietly.
Stuff that he's tightening up things for Shakur to prepare for him, but also in sparring because, he may have lagged during his last sparring. So it's a lot, but it's definitely doable. And, but this is, the time is now, at the end of the day. Oh yeah, for sure. I feel like Shakur is gonna outbox him, and it's gonna be a point in time until he kind of get desperate, and that's when the gap is going wide, and then Shakur is just gonna, come out with a clean victory.
So the real question is this: does Teofimo step on the gas and impose himself, or does Shakur methodically control 12 rounds while people argue afterward about when the fight slipped away? That's the conversation worth having. Now it's your turn. Share your thoughts in the comments, and let's get into it. And before you go, make sure to show support by liking the video, sharing it around, and subscribing to the channel.